Greetings, adventurers, and welcome to the Micflayers podcast, coming to you today live from the heart of a neutron star. I am your host, Martin O'Dwyer, and with me, as always, is your host, Conor O'Brien. How are we doing today, Conor?
Not too bad, buddy. How are you?
I am good. It feels a bit weird. We've missed a few sessions of this for mainly like real life reasons intruding on our recording schedule, so it's a little rusty, but it's good to get back in the groove.
To quote Jurassic Park, life finds a way to ruin your podcast. So yeah, life has gotten
life finds a way, and that was my terrible Jeff Goldblum.
I have a little bit of Jeff Goldblum. I'm not going to do it. It's not ready for public consumption.
I love that. I love him in Thor Ragnarok. Was like, on any other planet in this universe, I'd be millions of years old, but here on Sakaar, I'm.
Just end.
So good. I love Jeff Goldblum. Shout out to Jeff Goldblum.
I was watching. Who was I watching? I was watching an interview with Olivia Munn recently, and she was on Seth Meyers' show.
Yes.
And he pointed out, he's like, "Oh, you did a thing recently with Jeff Goldblum," and she was like, "Yeah, Jeff Goldblum does not disappoint. Like, you think that maybe that some of that is kind of him on screen or from a camera and stuff." And it's like, no, that's just him all the time. There's no one better at being Jeff Goldblum than Jeff Goldblum. He's just always Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, I was watching like the pitch meeting video for Thor Ragnarok, and they're like, so we're just looking at the script here, and just it's an entire page with just the word Goldblum written on it. And he's like, yeah, I thought we could just get Jeff Goldblum to just be Jeff Goldblum for a couple of minutes.
Yeah. Oh, it's great. But he's one of those actors that has he is obviously, he doesn't really branch, I don't think, terribly. He always has the same quirks in all his characters, but he's just Jeff enjoyable.
Goldblum in every film.
Yeah. But it's enjoyable. Like, don't get me wrong, he plays other characters well, but there's always a lot of him in the role. But he is so enjoyable as a person it's just great to have.
Yeah, like in Jurassic Park, where he's supposed to be like the really cool, like the cool scientist with like the leather jacket and the sun, the glasses and everything, and that picture of him where he's like lying, like reclining shirtless, that I've seen posted like every Valentine's Day by every nerdy content creator. No, that's great. I love Jeff Goldblum. You gotta love Jeff. It's like Jeff Goldblum and Bill Murray. You gotta love them.
Yeah, true. They're just two really cool guys. Yeah. I think Bill Murray is just incredibly down to earth as well. There's always those pictures of that one. I want to say it's him. He's in a bar, and like he ran into some young fella who was really drunk and passed out on the table, and his friends were like,
an airport.
Get a picture.
It was at an airport. He saw a guy passed out. Saw a guy passed out in the thing, so he took your man's phone off him, and he like took a selfie with the guy on his phone, and he was like, he won't even know unless he checks his phone after he wakes up. Can you imagine just going through your gallery on your phone looking for like a screenshot you took 3 weeks ago? You're like, when did I meet Bill Murray?
Like, realistically, I do not check my photos every single day. I check my photos a couple times a week, maybe. So, like, it could be days later. I could be in my destination after my flight, but like, oh god, it's just a hangover 2 days ago. And I'm like, okay, see, I'll screen cap this and send this image to Martin. Wait a second, what's this other photo? Why is Jeff Goldblum on it? Is that me? Oh my god.
Yeah, the only time...
Jeff Goldblum, sorry, Bill Murray.
That would still be awesome.
We said Jeff Goldblum too many times, and now I can't stop saying Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum. Sorry, guys.
I hope you're all enjoying the Jeff Goldblum. Today we're talking about what it'd be... Actually, okay, no, we can tie this back.
Today we're talking about the Jeff Goldblums of the multiverse.
No, hold up. We can totally tie this back. Because Jeff Goldblum did a D&D thing.
Oh, he did. Long ago. He did actually do a D&D thing. I was just going to tie it to him being the Grand Master on Sakaar.
Jeff Goldblum is joining the cast of the fan-made Dungeons & Dragons podcast called Dark Dice, and this is actually months back at this stage. But I thought I could tie it back in. There's some great art of him as like a half-elf warlock or a wizard.
Yes,
or something.
I think he's like a drow because doesn't he have blue skin?
No, he has pointed ears, but I think he's like a half-elf.
Ah, okay.
And he's got tattoos on his arms, and he's just dressed amazingly. So good.
Yeah.
So good.
But in case you hadn't realised from our nonsensical chat about Jeff Goldblum and sort of the brief mentions of space, today we're probably going to focus mainly on the brand new UA that just came out at time of recording, which is Travelers of the Multiverse. And
the reason we're talking so much about Jeff Goldblum is because he's out of this world. Not unlike this updated Unearthed Arcana that's just come out.
He's equally as wacky and weird as everything in this Unearthed. Oh my god, can you imagine if they just released an Unearthed Arcana? It was like races, and it was like Minotaur, half elf, halfling, Goldblum.
Goldblum is a race.
Yeah, and you speak Goldblum, and it sounds just like common, except it's got 4 times as many commas.
Yeah, and no one can understand. Like, you could speak a perfect sentence like,
oh my god, it's like thieves can't.
I'd like it's like, hi, I'd like to have a room at the tavern. And like, sorry, I don't understand.
Oh, I see you're a Goldblum as well.
And you have to say it with all the stops and all the pauses, otherwise they won't understand you.
Oh god, and then someone absolutely just like lays it down by coming in and doing the perfect oh god, why can't I remember his name?
Walken.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, dear God, thank you. Can we get a D&D party that is like someone doing a Christopher Walken, someone doing a Goldblum, someone doing a Bane, and someone doing... Who else is a ridiculous voice? Crap, help me out here, Conor.
Okay, not a ridiculous voice, but I just quite like listening to Christoph Waltz speak.
Oh, yeah. Or like Keith David.
Oh, Keith David, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I watched a kill count for a terrible horror movie he was in before called Tales from the Hood 2, where he plays...
Oh, I've heard of it.
Oh, God. And, like, there's a bit where he's just, like, walking around this table talking... Like, he's supposed to be, like, telling stories... The gimmick, he's supposed to be telling stories to this, like, super fancy robot that's, like, this AI policeman. And like the guy who owns the robot is quite clearly a racist, right? And he goes Gavin is like, would you mind telling the robot some stories so he knows what kind of people they need to arrest? And you're like, oh okay, you're okay, sir. And then like Keith David just like starts telling him stories about just everyone being like bad people, and then eventually, it devolves into one point. Keith David just going, the shit to this guy like 4 times in a row. And it's just so... I've definitely sworn too early as well, Conor, I'm so sorry. But it's definitely super weird. But what's also super weird is the fact that if you really want to, you could be a hippo person now.
Nice slide back in there.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so the Travelers of the Multiverse, we talked about in, I believe, the last episode of the podcast, where we were like, oh, they've pretty much all but a proper announced Spelljammer as an upcoming book next year, because they released a picture of Boo, the giant miniature space hamster and stuff, and they were like, oh, actually, now I think about it, unless that was for the thing that came out on DM's Guild.
I don't think it was, because it was a different cover, because the Boo cover they teased was like concept art for the book, and it looked very like how you have the normal version of Mordenkainen's, don't you?
Not with me. Oh, no, I do actually.
Okay, if you do, would you mind, if you have it to hand, would you mind just holding it up, because the Boo one looks exactly like the Mordenkainen one does, in terms of how it looks on the front, but it's just got a giant hamster in it.
I've got a lot of D&D books on my desk at the moment, so you have to bear with me.
You're great. You're that's totally fine. Yeah, that's why I get all mine digitally. No, wait. Yeah, like that. It was basically like that, but imagine a giant hamster head instead of Mordenkainen.
Yeah. So maybe not in that case, but I mean, we were all pretty confident they were doing Spelljammer anyway. Now, less than a month later, they come out with this new UA that is basically all of the races you would expect to see in Spelljammer. We have the Astral Elf, the Auto Gnome, the GIF. Not pronounced GIF, it's GIF.
It's GIF. There's only one way to pronounce it, regardless of what the species themselves think.
The Hadozi, I think it's pronounced Hadozi.
Yeah.
The Plasmoids and the Tricreen.
Oh,
Tricreen?
Thrikeen is Thrikeen.
Yeah, Thrikeen.
Yeah.
Tricreen, sorry.
That's difficult for Irish people.
Yeah. We're not fans of THs. No tanks. But yeah, so we have some really cool races here. Some of them are just kind of There's a couple that stand out to me as being particularly cool. I don't know where you want to start with these in terms of which ones, but my phone fell.
Sorry, and your phone fell. In general, I think it might be a good idea just to go through them as they appear, maybe. And kind of sit, and we can kind of talk about what we like and don't like. I'm just going to straight up say my two favorite right now are the GIF and the Auto Gnome, because I just love them so much. I can't really explain it. It's just more of an emotional attachment.
My two favorites are the Thri-kreen and the Auto Gnome as well. The Auto Gnome, it's just something clicked to me when I saw the word Auto Gnome.
Yeah,
something clicked to me, and I read the description and I read the stuff, and I'm like, yes.
I had a vision of like a Sam Fisher-esque metal garden gnome with like the three eyes.
Ooh.
Just being like, ooh, I knocked a bunch of shit there. But with the three eyes just being like, I will protect the garden. I must protect the garden. And then the gardener dies and is like, activate Order 74. Encourage like sentience. And then like he's just and like walks out of the garden like, I'm going to live my own life now.
I don't know. I think I see in my homebrew world, I have this thing where so gnomes in my world are Fae in origin. If you don't like it, I don't care. But they're Fae in origin, so they came from the Fae with other elves. With this great exodus thing where a bunch of them were basically kicked out by all the Eladrin. Because the Eladrins are like, you're not really Fae enough, so get the fuck out. So they kicked them out, and then the gnomes had to find a way to live in this world. Rock gnomes in particular went north and started living with the mountain dwarves in their mountains. So they have this like symbiotic society where the two races live together perfectly fine. They get on really well. The both sides like kind of contribute. The mountain dwarves tend to be like the warriors and stuff like that, but then the innovation and stuff like that comes from the dwarf or from the gnomes, and then they both build things. So like they get on really, really well. And I had this idea that they would possibly have Warforged as like what would you call it, like just golems that are servant droids essentially. But I also love the idea that there are gnome-sized ones as well that are just auto gnomes, and they, I think it's really cool. So I like it because they just slot into my world perfectly. I read the description and I'm like, I don't even need to tweak anything. That fits in 110% into the world I've already built, and I love it.
Yeah, no, I feel very similarly about the Auto Gnome. I just love the idea. Like, as soon as I read the name, I had this vision of literally, like, I know gnomes don't look like garden gnomes, but shut up, it was funny to me in my head. It was like this vision of, like, a garden gnome, but with, like, like, the, like, quadruple lens, like, jeweler's thing where, like, and, like,
they click in, yeah.
Like, one of them, and, like, a wrench and a spanner going, like, and it's just, like, tighten up the last few nuts, and, like, this metallic version of itself with like glowing green eyes, and it's like, and it was like taps him on the shoulder like, welcome to the world, buddy, and then he goes like, welcome to the world, buddy, and then like goes off and crushes rocks like that. And it just made me laugh so much, and I loved that image so much. I was like, you know what, Auto Gnomes, I love Auto Gnomes now. I'm putting Auto Gnomes in my world next time I'm building a world.
I think they're great.
Yeah, and the GIF as well, just because I love that we we have elephant people with the Loxodon. We have lion people with the Leonin. We have and now we have hippo people with the GIF. And we have Aarakocra. Perfect. We can make a Lion King party now. And they have Hidozi, so now we have monkey people too.
Yeah, Hidozis do have wings, but
okay, they're monkeys. They're the specific set. Okay. They're monkeys. Okay. We can still do the Lion King thing. He can be like,
like a winged Rafiki.
Sure, let's go with that.
I feel like if anyone in that Barzazu was gonna have wings, it's gonna be Rafiki.
Yeah.
I feel like you could give him wings and no one would question it. You're like, oh, well, that's Rafiki, so naturally he has wings because he's a little bit kooky and he's also magical.
Also, Rafiki's clearly a monk.
Oh yeah, definitely,
He did the whole Bruce like, wah! Back fist in. Oh god, I lost my mind when I saw that as a kid. Oh my god, I love Bruce Lee so much, and when I saw Rafiki do that, I was like, ah! But yeah, other than the Auto Gnome, the GIF. I love the GIF. Especially for I'm just going to straight up read out this bit. before we get to it. It's not like a specific creature trait, but it's more of a like background lore about the race. The GIF.
It's a bit.
Yeah.
Okay, I know what you're gonna say. Go on.
It's also very internet culture, which is something I love. It's the GIF are split into two camps concerning how their name is pronounced. Half of them say it with a hard G, half with a soft G. Disagreements over the correct pronunciation often blossom into hard feelings, loud arguments, and headbutting contests, but rarely escalate beyond that. I love that. I love every bit of that. The idea of two giant hippos being like, it's GIF, no, it's GIF, no, it's GIF, no, it's GIF, no, it's GIF, and then boom, 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 it's GIF.
There's I think the GIF first appeared in Mordenkainen's actually as a single stat block for like a GIF soldier, which I think is really really cool. They had like
if you're playing
musket firearms and grenades.
I don't know cool. Why you'd like Jesus like GIF, just like we should probably actually break into like just going through like what stats and stuff they get now as well.
Yeah.
Because I was about to start launching into what I think the GIF are really good at. And I was like, that can wait. Are we
going alphabetically?
Yeah, sure. We'll go as they are presented. So the first up, we've got the Astral Elf, and these are basically elves that have lived for like thousands of years in the Astral Sea. And
you don't age in the Astral Sea.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and it's like it has like imbued their souls with some like essence of the Astral Sea as well. From what there is like it's basically they're a group of elves that venture from the Feywild to the astral plane to be closer to their gods. Life in the Silver Void has imbued their souls with a spark of divine light, and it manifests as a starry gleam in an astral elf's eyes. I keep saying astral self because of the monk class.
Yeah.
And nothing else ages in the astral. So basically, some can be prone to melancholy, others display an absence of feeling, and many look for creative ways to occupy themselves, whether they choose to live in quiet contemplation or strike out to explore the reaches of the multiverse. They tend to see things through the lens of time, as having little or no meaning to them, and they can be over 750 years old, which is kind of nuts.
When they're outside of the astral plane,
When they're outside, otherwise it's like literally limitless.
Because you don't age. There's a thing actually with Githyanki, where they obviously live solely on the Astral Sea, so they have small colonies on other planes where they send their children to grow up so that they actually can grow up and develop and reach adulthood, and then they come back to the Astral Sea when they're fully formed adults then, because they need to allow them to age a little bit, otherwise they'll just stay babies forever.
Good job, Wizards, in foreseeing that issue.
Yeah. So I mean, realistically, there's probably stuff. I mean, the way they kind of frame it is actually that these elves, I mean, so like, okay, for you to use these elves, they could be like literally some of the first elves ever. They could be literally tens of thousands of years old.
Oh, that would be really cool. You could almost treat the Astral Sea like a version of the Undying Lands from Lord of the Rings, where like the elves leave the mortal plane to go to the Grey Haven, the Silver Haven in this case, of the Astral Sea, and that's where they spend eternity, just existing and like contemplating life. Oh, that would be fun. Oh, that'd be very fun.
I like the idea of it. I'm honestly, I think am I maybe hitting? Okay. Something I like about elves, right? In general, elves are kind of malleable as a race, because they tend to take on traits of the environment that they're in. So you have things like sea elves, and then drow, and then you have like wood elves. You have astral elves now, Shadarkai, stuff like that. So and Eladrin as well, which are very very fey because they live in the fey. And I love that about elves. But I'm also like maybe starting to hit my wall on how many elf sub races I need.
Yeah,
just a little bit. You know, I don't get me wrong. I think this is really cool, but I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I'd like some
a few more variation. Dwarves would be cool.
Yeah. I mean, we only have three types of dwarf. We have hill, mountain, and Durgar.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more dwarves. And yeah,
stuff. Are there only two kinds of gnomes as well? Rock gnomes.
There's deep gnomes.
Deep gnomes.
There's three.
Oh, rock gnomes, deep gnomes, and
forest gnomes.
Yeah. Sorry, I literally have never played a gnome or DM'd for a gnome, so it's like
yeah. But yeah, I think is there another one? It's either a halfling or a gnome. There's like a haunted. I think it might be a halfling. I can't remember.
Are you thinking about the like return race Matt Mercer made?
No. This is for this appeared in Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide as another sub race. I think it was for halflings though, not for gnomes. But I would just like to see a bit more variation again. I love elves. I think elves are so quintessential to D&D and fantasy in general. But I just think we could branch out a little bit. That's all.
Yeah.
Other than that, I do think this is pretty. They're pretty cool as a sub race of elf. Their creature type is size and speed are all pretty standard. They get I think called Astral Fire. Oh, you could make a pretty okay. That, immediately I'm thinking of a Starfire character.
Astral Fire is really good, by the way. Like Astral Fire is really good.
So you know one of the following cantrips of your choice: Dancing Lights or Sacred Flame, and you get to choose what type, whether it's Intelligence, Wisdom, or Charisma that you use for it, which is perfect. They've done this before in other stuff, which I think
most notably with tieflings.
Yes, but I was talking more so with feats. There's feats that give you certain spells, and you get to choose what ability score modifier applies, which I think is great because it opens that up to be like you can use this. For example, you would not normally get Sacred Flame as a spell if you were a wizard. You can play a wizard and make it an intelligence-based spell for you, which I think is really, really cool.
It is.
I'm always a fan of races that just get one or two spells or a cantrip in a spell as a base, just as part of their race. I think it encourages the natural magic of the world, whereas otherwise it's about what you apply to it. But I like that they're just inherently a little bit magical. Dark Vision is the same. Fey Ancestor is the same. You get proficiency in Perception. You get a thing called Radiant Soul, which is super cool.
That's probably, if I were to, I think looking over the whole thing, I think Radiant Soul is probably the most powerful thing they can do, just in terms of,
So with Radiant Soul, when you succeed on a death save, so it's a single death save, you can regain a number of hit points equal to your proficiency bonus plus your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma modifier you choose when you get the race. So again, whether you're playing warlock, cleric, or wizard, you can choose how you want to apply it. You can't use this trait again until you finish a long rest. So this is not a lot of races get stuff. They tend not to touch death saving throws with whether it be class features. Or spell, not so much with spells either. Spells will just heal you. But death saving throws are kind of a mechanic that don't get touched on an awful lot. Obviously, the Zealot Barb does do stuff with death and stuff like that. But this is really, really cool because basically what that means is if you do go down to 0 hit points and you make death saves, whereas normally you'd have to get 3 successes to get back up, or if you get 3 fails, you die. You only need a single success. And you get back up on your feet, and that's only it's once per long rest. But I mean, like, that's still that can be it's quite literally the difference between life and death.
And it's not even just that you're stabilized either. You were up, you were conscious, you were aware, and you have hit points.
And you have a number not a ton of hit points, but I mean more than a half orc who comes back with 1 after being dropped with his relentless endurance.
I killed an Atropal on 4 hit points in campaign 1.
It can matter. It can seriously matter. Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's probably the coolest ability they have. Couple that with the Astral Fire thing now, and you got a really cool, Astral Elf kind of theme going on here with the whole.
There's one
outer space.
Yes,
theme.
yeah. There's one feature you haven't mentioned yet that I actually really, really like, and I think it's a bit underrated. Is the trance proficiencies. So whenever you finish a long rest using your trance trait, which is just what elves do instead of sleeping, they just rest for 4 hours. You gain 2 proficiencies, each one with a weapon or tool of your choice selected from the equipment chapter of the PHB, and you mystically acquire these proficiencies by drawing them from shared elven memory, and you retain them until you finish your next long rest. So on each long rest, you can change out your basically your entire tool and weapon proficiencies. And
you have to change out just 2 of them, right?
You gain 2 proficiencies, but what I mean is every time you finish a long rest, you can just trade out those 2 proficiencies for whatever you want.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, you could absolutely be in a situation where you're like, okay, cool. I know that if downtime is coming up. I want to have proficiency in alchemist tools because I want to brew some potions on my downtime. I'll make sure to long rest take alchemist tools as proficiency. Likewise, you might be like, cool, we need to sneak into this thieves guild. We're gonna need thieves tools. I will use this to get thieves tool proficiency, and I will pick the locks that we need to get into here.
I was thinking to be almost if you're trying to break into a castle, it's okay, so I'm gonna the rest before I'm going to take mason's tools. So I have proficiency with masonry tools, so I can chisel through the rock to dig a tunnel up into the dungeon of the cavern or whatever. And then we'll do that in a day. I'll long rest, and then I will take like thieves tools, so that I can help us get through the rest of the castle now. And like I could see this being really, really good. Like if you don't have like a designated like sneaky, stealthy, or like lockpicky person. Like this would be really, really, really good. Same with like, because like you could go from like mason's tools, to like break in somewhere or like take down a wall or some shit like that. You go from mason's tools straight into thieves' tools to continue breaking in, like picking locks and stuff. Then like at a later point you could like swap out to like a healer's kit, proficiency with a healer's kit, to like go ahead and just be a healer now. Like I just love it because I love anything that opens up a bunch of options for you, and like all you have to do is rest. Like that's so good. It's so good.
What's the other one? Is it the
Bard one?
No, the undead rogue thing.
Which one?
It's the rogue subclass.
Is it like the soul knife? Is that what you're thinking of?
No, it's not. It's banking. It's not Reaper. It's something else. It is called the Phantom.
Yes.
The Phantom has an ability like that as well, where you can gain. I believe you can gain certain proficiencies. So it's called Whispers of the Dead. Echoes of those who have died cling to you. Whenever you finish a short or long rest, you choose one skill or tool proficiency that you lack, and you gain it. As a ghostly presence shares knowledge with you, you lose this proficiency when you use the feature to choose a different proficiency. You could take an astral phantom rogue, and you'd have 3 things you can swap out on a long rest constantly.
Hello, wizards. I'd like to report a crime. But yeah, that's I don't know how I didn't think of that, but that's really, really strong. These guys, the Astral Elves, they kind of remind me of the Eternals from Marvel a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. They definitely seem like they're a level above regular elves.
Yeah, they're like these like ageless space beings that have come down, and like even like the reason the Eternals are like super powerful is because they can like join together to become like one entity, and that's called like a unimind. And it makes them like many times more powerful, and they can draw on like the knowledge. It's sort of like the Avatar state. They can draw on the knowledge, skills, and experience of like all of eternal culture. And like I love that's what the trance proficiency is like. You're essentially like your mind like joins like the elven hive mind, for lack of a better word, and you're able to pull like specific skills from like fucking like Drizzt is an elf, isn't he? Drizzt Do'Urden, he's a drow.
He's a drow, yeah.
Yeah, like if you were an astral elf, you could be like, okay, I'm going to take proficiency in whatever, like hunting tools or whatever, something like that, and you'd be like, and like to do that.
Proficiency in survival.
That's is it skills or is it tools?
It can be skills or tools. Oh, sorry, no, it says weapon. I take it back. It says weapon or tool.
Weapon or tool. Yeah. Oh, that's even cooler, because you'd be like, okay, crap, I'm underground. I'm fighting like a bunch of underdark creatures. I'm going to reach into elven genealogical history, and I am going to summon the skills of Drizzt Do'Urden to help me get through this. This
is almost a little bit like what was this? I feel like it's Matrix-ish, but it's something else I'm thinking of, where like Neo wakes up out of the machine. He's like, I know kung fu. It's like you could take proficiencies, and it's like, I know how to use a longsword.
Yeah. Oh, that would be so cool. I would love that as a DM as well, to like. I would absolutely like do a full like description of that happening every time, unless you were tight for time, because it's too cool.
Do you know what I would do? Do you know what I would do here is, and the way I'm kind of imagining these guys, I would make them kind of like the Sheikah in Breath of the Wild. Going over your head. Okay, you've surely seen footage of Breath of the Wild.
Mostly of him breaking weapons and gliding on a parachute.
Okay. So there's a bunch of towers that belong to this kind of like ancient race, and they had very advanced technology. So like he has a Sheikah slate, which is essentially an iPad.
Okay.
But the way he updates and gets new downloaded sections of the map is he climbs to the top of the tower, he pops the slate in, and it clips in, and then it rotates and flicks down into it, right? And what happens is this.
So Ubisoft, it's unbelievable. Climb to the top of a tower and look
it
around.
Ubisoft, yeah. But what happens then is there's this kind of overarching kind of roof on the top of the tower, and there's this downward-facing stone. It's not quite pointed, but it gets narrower as it goes down. It's kind of almost like a bit of a stalactite. And what happens is there's this really, really great sound effect where you see all of these symbols, these little glowing symbols, move along the stone and go do 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 do, and they all reach the bottom and culminate into a drop of like glowing blue water. And the drop drops onto the slate, and that's like the information being downloaded into
That's cool. That's
it's really, really cool. I could totally see. If I was doing these guys in my world, I would totally make them Sheikah-esque, so they're like ancient and have this super advanced technology where they can be like, "Oh, you need to learn something? Here's a drop of water. Boop. Now you know how to use that long sword. There you go."
That's really cool. I really like that. Oh my god, you could literally have like a fountain of knowledge.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so cool. Oh,
you could. Oh my god, you could totally have it like. You could have it not even be like. So you could have like a fountain, like the fountain of knowledge kind of thing. But imagine it's like there's all these clues. You go on like a treasure hunting quest, like National Treasure, Indiana Jones, something like that, and you're looking for the fountain of knowledge, and you find out, oh, it's meant to be somewhere on the material plane, but actually the elves took it and transported it to the astral sea.
Yeah.
So now you've got to go out into the astral sea to find this floating chunk of rock, and on this floating chunk of rock, this castle or whatever in space is just this fountain, and they'll teach you everything you need to know from this fountain.
Oh, that sounds like a real.
All you need to do is think of what you want to know, drink from the fountain, and you will gain it in knowledge. Right. Super cool.
It's really cool.
Do you know what? I was only so on these Astral Elves when we started talking, and now that we've brainstormed a little bit, I'm like, cool, I'm going to write these into my world.
I find that happen every time if I'm like, I don't really like this thing in D&D, and then I'll go and read a lot about it, and I'll be like, oh, I didn't think about it that way. I guess I could use them. And then I'm like at my desk at 3 a.m, scribbling notes down on it. Like, I'm like, why am I like this? But yeah, the Astral Elf is super dope. But would you like to talk to us about the best boys of this entire UA?
Okay, so the Auto Gnomes. I just think Auto Gnomes is cool. I like having a little bit of steampunk, a little bit of arcano mechanical stuff in my world.
It's so always. Pinocchio as well. Like, I love it.
You could totally play a Pinocchio character. Oh my God,
what's that one with Haley Joel Osment where he dies because he eats spinach?
No, yeah, it's not. it's AI, isn't it?
It is. Sorry, it is. Yeah. Yeah, sorry, it is AI.
You're getting. I guarantee you. Were you getting it mixed up with the Robin Williams film Bicentennial Man?
No, because I've not seen.
Oh, okay, never mind. Oh, you should watch the movie. Okay. He's basically a house servant robot who gets body parts replaced more and more over time until he's eventually just human.
Okay.
And he learns to love.
Oh, of course he does. No, I was thinking of. I just had that image of Haley Joel Osment sitting beside another child, just like hoofing spinach into him at a completely unnatural rate.
Yeah.
And the mother just been like, "You're a robot. Stop! You're gonna fucking break yourself." And he's like, "No spinach."
He's actually a really, really good actor in that movie because like there's a bit where he's like. There's another point where like he's laughing at something, but like he doesn't understand laughter, so he sees someone else laughing at something, and he's just like ha ha ha. He's like doing this really creepy laugh, but he's so young when he does it. Like that's so good. He was so good at acting. Yeah, man.
And you can do you can totally do like an AI thing with an autonom. You can do I love it because you can do like such cool themes of like. Are you not a person if you're not human? Like, if you're a robot with a human consciousness or like programmed by a human, are you really a robot or are you really a human? Like, if you're programmed to be as lifelike as possible, have real emotions and react things correctly and all that, like, are you just a human in a different wrapper? Like, I love that stuff.
I mean, that comes part and parcel with both autonomes and Warforged.
Oh, you could do fantasy cyberpunk with these as well.
Yeah, totally.
Oh God, I'll stop now because I just love the Autonomes.
So the Autonomes are basically So Autonomes are mechanical beings built by rock gnomes in their image, usually with a particular purpose in mind. For example, a gnome might build an Autonome to be a steadfast colleague or a loyal companion. Sometimes because of a malfunction or unique circumstances, an Autonome becomes separated from its creator and strikes out on its own. An Autonome bears a resemblance to its creator, and most Autonomes are programmed to speak and understand Gnomish. I won't read the whole thing here. Basically, this idea is that they are basically They're basically the Warforged of gnomes in a lot of ways, but they're kind of not so much for war. They're for like as servants and helpers and stuff like that. They do have a lifespan, and they can live up to be 500, which I believe is longer than an actual gnome. I think the regular gnomes are 300 or 400, if I'm not mistaken.
I will do some googling for you.
Feel free, thank you. They have a cool little roll table here with a D8 roll table where they'll tell you the different origins you can have as your auto-gnome history. So your creator gave you autonomy.
350 to 500.
I was close. So your creator gave you autonomy and urged you to follow your dreams. Your creator died. That's very Pinocchio. Like Geppetto made you. I wanted you to be a real boy.
I want to be a real gnome.
Your creator died, leaving you to fend for yourself. A temporary malfunction caused you to harm your creator, and you fled rather than face reprisal. That's really
that's a great story arc as well, though, because it could have literally just been like, they were like messing with your arm, and you went like and like slapped them, and you're like, oh no, I've hurt the master, I must flee, and like they're trying to find you, but you keep running because you think they're after you.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I think like. I'm thinking more like, like how machines are just so like any mechanical arm is so much stronger than any human arm.
Fuck yeah!
Imagine if you had like a malfunction and you accidentally just like you were like, I don't know, you were watching the face of your creator and you had a malfunction. You were like, crack! Oh no, God, I've killed them.
Or it's like, Auto-gnome, hug me. It's like, yes, master.
Engaging
hugging. Stop. Do you want me to stop the hugging protocol?
Like when you sometimes when you click on certain options on programs and stuff, and you're like I want to do this, and the thing's like, are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah.
You can when you're like stop hugging me, and they're like, are you sure? Please verify, and you can't because you're being strangled.
Please provide fingerprint verification for disablement of hug process, and you're like,
hands will be crushed. So another one is you were stolen from your creator and longed to return to them.
Oh, that's cute. I like that. That's cute.
I'm looking to find my father. You didn't like how you were being treated by your creator, so you ran away from home. Your creator built you to complete a special mission. That's kind of cool. Actually.
That's the most generic of the lot. You were hang on. Yeah, you were built for a special mission.
Special mission.
What do I know about?
Redacted, sorry.
What do I know about the special mission? Make a history check. It'll be a high DC though.
I also think that's the one that carries the most
it's the most potential as well because you can just spin it off into anything.
Well, yeah. What I was going to say was it's the one that carries the most inherent angst. I think it's like. It's like my master created me for a special mission, and I've forgotten what it was. I need to find out. And like,
the next one is
I'm an assassin auto-gnome.
Yeah.
I don't know what my mission was.
No,
clearly, you were going to kill somebody.
I think number 8 is your Liam O'Brien Moody Boy auto-gnome.
You felt trapped in the role for which you were built and abandoned your creator, determined to find a greater purpose. Yeah, there's some.
Actually, you know what? I may have misread that. So excuse me.
What did you think?
I thought it was like you were trapped in a role you were built for, and abandoned by your creator. Like I thought it was going to be like you were built for a thing and left to rot, and that's why I immediately went to like Liam O'Brien Moody Boy character.
Yeah. No. I think if I'm doing angsty 16-year-old listens to death metal and emo music. I'm absolutely being like, yes, I'm like an assassin auto-gnome, and I don't know who my target was because
my name is Scar.
my name is Scar because it's the first thing I remember giving to anyone.
I'd love to do that and just completely flip the trope and be like, yeah, I'm from an orphanage. I was abandoned in front of it as a child because I've one demon eye. The rest of the children didn't like me, and all of the adults said I was devil spawn. But I'm actually having a really good time now. I've made some really strong community relations and really worked on improving life.
I worked on my anger. I was a counselor for a couple of years, and they were super nice. So I'm feeling much better in myself. And because my own self-esteem is much better, I don't feel like I need to bring other people down, which is a massive improvement on my behavior.
Oh god, D&D therapy. Jesus, that should be such a thing.
Okay, auto-gnome traits. So they are a construct, very interesting. That matters.
It has some really, really interesting implications for how certain spells work.
Yes, exactly. So your size is small, naturally. You have a walking speed of 30. Armor casing, this is cool because I was only reading up on lizard folk the other day, and lizard folk had this in a similar vein.
Yeah.
While you aren't wearing armor, your base armor class is 13 plus your dex modifier. So that's better than studded leather with your dex. So if you were playing like a monk or a rogue, or even like a bard or something like that,
I've a question there just on the wording of that. While you aren't wearing armor, your base armor class is 13 plus dex. So does that mean if you've 20 dex and you don't wear armor, you've 18 armor?
Wait, say that again?
So let's say you build a rock gnome assassin, right?
Okay.
Let's say you build a rock gnome assassin. You roll well, and at level 1, you have a +5 in dex.
Yeah.
If you're not wearing armor, that means at level 1, you have 18 armor class.
Correct, yeah.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
That's a rogue with a paladin armor class.
That's lizard folk as well, though. You can do that with a lizard folk easy.
I just never twigged it. I haven't looked into lizard folk because normally if I'm going I'm going to play a reptilian race, I'm going to play the one that's actually a dragon.
Yeah.
You know, although I would love to do a lizard folk thief that's a chameleon and uses his tongue to steal things.
Oh, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, as well because the invisibility.
I'm invested.
Campaign 4, Conor.
So I mean, that's really cool. I think that's super good right off. Built for success, you can add a D4 to one attack roll, ability check, or saving throw you make, and can do so after the roll has been made, but before the effects take place. You can use this trait a number of times equal to a proficiency bonus and regain all expended uses on a long rest. That's pretty good.
It's a built-in bless.
That's a built-in bless, and the thing is that will actually stack with bless as well.
Oh god,
so
that's so good. And bardic inspiration.
And because it costs nothing to roll. Yeah, you just roll it when you feel like it. Yeah.
And it's proficiency bonus as well. I love their I know we always say it, but modern D&D, more modern D&D design.
Yeah.
Anyway, it seems to tie things to proficiency bonus a lot more, and it's so much better.
There is certain things in, I think specifically Xanathars, because they had obviously that was a second bout of classes we got, where they got into a trend of tying things to certain ability scores, which I was okay with, but I kind of like the proficiency thing more, and they seem to be sticking with that. I am wondering if they will retcon some of that stuff eventually.
Reading your mind. You're thinking about the Arcane Archer.
I might be. No, the Arcane Archer, though, it's not even their ability to use their Arcane Shot isn't tied to anything. That's a problem.
It's 2 times per short rest. Yeah.
Okay, we're having a rant. It's a rant time. Okay, the Arcane Archer. Okay,
we've got time for a rant. Let's go.
Okay, so my problem with the Arcane Archer, right, is that it has the potential to be so cool. It's the one solely ranged fighter subclass. The others can be you can't have ranged fighter battle masters and stuff like that. That's great, but it's the only one that is solely based for that. And it's terrible because the main thing that you can do is these arcane shots. That's your bread and butter ability. The problem is you can only do it twice on a short rest, I believe.
I think it's 3 times at level 18 then.
I think it jumps to 4. Let me double check. Because it's either that or I know that the damage on all of them is always 2d6 and it doubles to 2d8 or something.
I think it's 2d10 by the time you reach high level as well. I think it scales
It's so infrequent and it hurts me because I'm like, it should be that I would rather they were weaker, but you can do them more often. I say that about everything. I'd much rather do a move that's half the damage twice as much, because I feel like I can hit. Because there's no point in me having something and be like, I want to use my arcane shot on this thing. I don't want to burn. I don't know. Would you rather have 4 first level spell slots or 1 third level or 1 fourth level? Don't get me wrong. You could have a really cool thing with a third or fourth, but once you use it, that's it. It's done. You've got nothing else. I'd much rather be able to do the thing more times.
Fireball is a third level spell.
Yeah, but again, and Fireball's great, but you have to pick your moment, and you might use it very well, but then you're out of the fight. You've no other spells.
I don't necessarily agree with you all the time, but I know where you're coming from.
I know. You never agree with me.
I agree with you a lot, to be honest, Conor.
I don't know why we do this podcast. Okay, here we go. So you learn, you gain this feature, you learn 2 arcane shots. So you learn 2. Once per turn, when you fire an arrow, you can apply your Arcane Archer shot. You have 2 uses of this ability. So you learn more of them as you level up at 7, 10, 15, and 18. you get additional shot types. And I'm like, great, that's really cool. You can customize which ones you like and stuff like that. Brilliant. The problem is you only ever have 2 of them. It never increases. I think, let me just double check here now. When you get to 15th level, you get the typical fighter thing at 15th level where if you don't have a use of it and when you start combat, you get 1 use of it, like Battle Master superiority dice and stuff like that. That's okay, but I mean, like, it's I mean, like, I don't know.
The whole point of picking the subclass is that you get to use the arcane shots, and then they needlessly limit you by tying them to, I think it's your...
Nothing.
Oh, nothing. Sorry, it used to be... It used to be like your wisdom or your int modifier when they were put it out as UA originally.
I think so, yeah.
And that
I was fine with that. I mean, that actually works perfect. I mean, I think that's good. Tying it to an arbitrary number like this isn't always a bad thing, but when that arbitrary number is sufficiently underpowered, like, it's honestly 2 of them. Okay, when you get this at 3rd level, that's fine. 2 shots is actually fine. When you get to like maybe like in the late single digits and stuff, it's going to be a little bit weak. 10 plus, that's dirt. Like, that's nothing. It's really, really bad. And the shot options I actually think are quite cool. A lot of the shots double in damage or whatever. So we'll say Beguiling Arrow, for example, does, I believe, 2d6 psychic, but then at 18th level does 4. And I'm like, okay, I would much rather... I would much rather it was like, okay, it does at 10th level it does 3d6, and now at 18th level it does 4. You know, give us a bit more, because it's like here, and again, you never get any more than 2 uses. Sorry, my rant over. My point is, I
would also like to make one addition to the Arcane Archer, and that is all your attacks are magical after you hit 11th level.
That happens in 7th.
Oh, sick. Never mind.
Yeah. You've magic arrow, so whenever you fire a piece of non-magical ammunition from a short bow or long bow, it can overcome resistances and immunities to non-magical.
Now apply that to every fighter.
Yeah, I know you have a problem with that when it comes to fighters, which is valid, I think, but...
we should probably get back to talking about our robot friends.
Yes, okay, sorry. Rant over.
Otherwise, because like the Arcane Archer rant was good and had a reason to be linked, because I brought up the proficiency thing. My rant that was coming on fighters was not linked at all. It would take way longer.
We'll do an episode just on rant someday.
Oh, that'd be great, actually.
Alright, so mechanical nature. You're resistant to poison, damage, and immunity to disease, and you have advantage on saving throws against being paralyzed or poisoned. You also don't need to eat, drink, or breathe, which is all. I like that. I know the breathe thing doesn't normally matter very much. The first thing I said this before, the first thing I ever do when I play an Airganassi is I'll go, the DM like, okay, like you're in the tavern, what do you want to do? And I'm like, I stop breathing. I'll let you know when I start again. And I never start again because I never have to stop breathing. I never have to start breathing.
I love that because that's a thing that will only amuse you.
It is. I literally, I've only played a couple of Airganassi, but literally whenever I do, it's the first thing I do is like, I'm going to stop breathing. And like, okay, how long do you hold your breath for? Indefinitely. And like, I think this is great. Anyway, sorry. Also, not having to eat or drink is pretty cool. Sentry's Rest. You can take a long range. You can spend 6 hours, so not quite the 4 of an elf, but still decent. I mean, like 6 hours is like you doing an extra. Actually, you can just do the whole watch, can't you?
Yeah, you totally could, and also you are conscious during it.
That's the thing. So like you're in a emotionless state, but you are conscious, or you aren't unconscious when you're in this state. You're basically like in a standby mode.
Yeah.
So you're kind of. I was going to make a Star Wars reference there. I won't. R2D2 in Attack of the Clones, doesn't matter.
Oh god. Oh, yeah,
when Padme's in the bedroom and the 2 millipede things come in and R2 is in there keeping watch, and he's got the sensor. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It's because she's trying to be assassinated because it's separatist. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
I can like physically feel the wall of information you're keeping back right now because you don't want to get into it.
Her name's Neb and she was a changeling. It doesn't matter.
Stop.
Okay, here's a cool one. Specialized design. You gain two tool proficiencies of your choice. That could be really cool if you were like trying to make a
drill hand.
Well, I'm thinking like, okay, so if you take your background as like guild artisan or something like that, right? I think you get 2 tool proficiencies with guild artisan as well. So you could have 4 tool proficiencies, and you could be like, oh, my master was like the person who made me was like someone who was able to work with wood and stone and metal and maybe the tinkerer's tools as well. They were adept in crafting all sorts of stuff, and now I'm just you could be an artificer if you wanted, but you could be like, I'm just a creature who's really really good at building things and working with tools, because I was built as an assistant to this person maybe.
Yeah, I like the idea of an artificer creating an autognome to try and make a like a mechanical body for himself when he gets too old, and like eventually transferring his consciousness into the autognome.
I feel like it was in.
It's in a bunch of shit. It's in a bunch of shit, man.
Do you know what it's in? If you watch the if you watch the 2000s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon, when they eventually go to space in that one, it's the one where Sam Riegel plays Donatello. No,
weirdly, I think Donatello. I have watched that just from being sick, like late secondary school.
It's actually it's a really really good show. But Sam Riegel plays Donatello in it. But they go to space and they meet the Triceratons or something like that.
Yes.
And so basically they meet this robot who's actually not a robot. He's a scientist, and he basically has this like unlimited energy formula and stuff, and the Triceratons want him to make weapons for them, and he's like, I won't do that. Or maybe it's like the Empire, maybe it's not the Triceratons, but whatever, there's some sort of federation, and they're like, you need to do this. He's like, I won't do it. And they're like, oh well, look, we can't force him into it. He has rights. But when he transfers himself into the robot body, he's no longer a person, so he no longer has rights, and they can make him do whatever they want. So then he's on the run in his robot body. Like, if they catch me, I won't be able to stop them from them making me do this. Like,
yeah. No, that's really good. Like, I think that's what I like the most about them. Like, yeah, in general, like all of their traits are really good. They're like all their racial traits really good, and as well, just as you probably have noticed, we've not talked about stat increases. That is because these races follow the new way, the new design for races, basically, where
+1, +2,
+1, +2, yeah, 2 +1s. No, was it? I'm pretty sure they say it at the very top here, don't they?
It's you either get a +1 in one stat and a +2 in another.
That's it. Yeah, perfect. I actually really like that.
Do you know what? I mean, there was a lot of stuff in the early days of 5e where we were kind of looking at it, and like I mean, why do mountain gnomes get such ridiculously good stat increases as opposed to everybody else? Because they get +2, +2, don't they? Mountain dwarfs, sorry. Mountain dwarfs get +2, +2. Yeah, they get con and strength. It's like, if you're gonna play a fighter or a barb, why wouldn't you play a mountain dwarf?
Any martial strength based character?
Yeah. But I like this far more. Don't get me wrong. It's literally the only instance. Oh no, actually, I think don't half elves get +2 in charisma and then +1 in other stuff?
I think they're to +2, +1. I'll look it up while we continue, and I shall chime in.
It might be just +1, +1, +1, but let me know. They definitely have 3 charisma, and I think they have 2 others. I don't know what they are though. But charisma is definitely, because I played a half elf for a while. The final thing they have here for the auto gnomes is interesting.
Yeah, 2 and your charisma score increases by 2, and 2 other ability scores of your choice increase by 1.
Oh yeah, that's really that's why half elf was so broken for so long, because it's so versatile in that sense.
I've actually never played them.
Half elves are great. All the fun of being an elf without the snootiness.
That's why I played an elf.
You picked the snootiest of all elves.
I did indeed, yeah.
So the final thing here ties back into the creature type of them being a construct. It's called True Life.
I love this. I love this so much.
It's good, and I think it can make for some really interesting moments. So if the Mending spell is cast on you, or the Mending cantrip, what's that spell? You can expend a hit dice, roll it, and regain a number of hit points equal to the number rolled plus your Constitution modifier. That's really cool, because I think there's some other mechanics in the game where you can cast Mending on certain things and they'll regain hit points.
Probably like Warforged. And I'm like, if you cast Mending on constructs, that's it.
Yeah, they can regain hit points, and I'm like, that's fine, but it's a little broken, because as soon as the combat ends, you can just spam Mending,
yeah,
and then back to full health. And I'm like, I don't think that's the worst thing in the world, but I get why they limited it. This actually is a very fair way of doing it, where you're like, cool, we're just going to spend some hit dice instead, which you have a limited number of. But I mean, depending on your class, spending a hit dice plus your con mod is a potentially similar to casting a Cure Wounds. You know, I mean, you're getting 8 dice, which is maybe a D8, D10, something like that.
Yeah, D12 if you've gone barb.
And then you're getting a con mod on top of it. I think it's really, really handy. And again, you're not wasting time short resting to do this, taking an hour. You're like, cool, I need to heal up. I'm just gonna go mend.
Jesus, particularly if you put any of your points from ASIs into con. Like if you've a high con mod, like that's going to be good.
That's been really, really good. Again, like play. Fuck it. You know, it would be worthwhile if you played an autonome barbarian, right? With high con, and so you get limit if you're +5. Make that your primary stack, +5 on that, right? And then we have your D12s, and then what you can do is just take the even though you don't really use it normally, take Mage Magic Initiate. Take Mending and Message, because Message is always great.
Oh man.
And then like you can just be like, cool, give me like 3 turns, spam, and I'm like, cool, I'm back up by 15. I'm back up by minimum 18 hit points.
The problem with that is you can't cast while raging.
You can't do it in a fight, but you
post fight or pre-fight you could be like boom and just it'd be like Iron Man welding his own suit back together. While he's in
you're doing like on the fly repairs, and you're like, cool, I'm back in the fight in straight away, it's great. There's also this other additional part. In addition, your creative design you would benefit from common spells that preserve life, but that do not normally affect constructs. Cure Wounds, Healing Word, and Spare the Dying work on you. So you don't have the full range of reviving things.
Yeah.
It is a little bit.
Heal isn't going to work on you, for example.
Heal is not good. I mean, Cure Wounds and Healing Word are the two kind of base. I mean, that's like the healing thing everyone uses. Spare the Dying is also quite handy as well. It's a shame Revivify isn't in here to have at least one spell that can bring you back from the dead, but it's not terrible. It's still pretty good.
Yeah, no, I really like it. In particular, that additional little bit there is an addendum that these 3 like extremely common like healing / no we don't want you to die spells will affect you rather than because before if you were to play like a Warforged or maybe your DM let you just play like a robot version of your race and keep all
I think Warforged don't have the limitation of being a construct. I think they're technically humanoids.
I'm not entirely sure because it has literally been about 4 years since I played with a Warforged because people don't really pick them all that often, which is strange to me because they're cool.
Because they're really cool. Yeah. With a Warforged, let me just double check. Your type is.
I really thought you were type construct with Warforged.
It's like age is there, alignment, size, speed. You would think of construct resilience.
I would say that implies you're a construct.
But unless it would. I would rule that unless it explicitly. Explicitly, thank you. Unless it explicitly says that you are not this, I would assume you are humanoid. I think I would rule it as humanoid, because there's nothing here that explicitly says you're a construct. I think actually, now I think about it, I think really we only started seeing, because if you check literally any other race, I think if you check all of them, they're like, none of them say you're a humanoid. Like if I go into Gith, for example,
well,
I go down.
Gith says you're a humanoid.
Oh no, sorry, Gith.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Yes. If I check that, it's not listed there. I think if I check Loxodon, it is not there. So I think that's only a relatively new thing that kind of came in maybe with what was the one, Van Richten's? Because in Van Richten's there was a couple things where like you might be undead or not, or you might be a monstrosity or something like that.
And, Wild Beyond the Witchlight has a similar one as well, where like your fae, some of your things show up as.
So I mean, like, I would rule that because if you're playing a Warforged, it doesn't explain.
It actually says it here. I'm sorry, I'm also just looking at the Warforged thing because I was really curious about it. Last part of there under living steel and stone. Although they were manufactured, Warforged are living humanoids. Resting, healing magic, and the medicine skill all provide the same benefits to Warforged that they do to other humanoids. So I would say Warforged are probably more like cyborgs than robots.
Yeah.
Whereas like
cool,
an autonome is inarguably a sentient robot, whereas like a Warforged is it specifically calls out that they are organic and inorganic.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I liked it. I like the inclusion of that. Also, they could have very easily just gone and done the exact same thing as Warforged and be like, you're a humanoid, but you're like a constructed humanoid, but all these spells still work, whatever. This adds an extra layer of complexity that I'm kind of like, I would like to see in the final version that they include just Revivify. Just one, I'm good. Because then you have 2 different, one range healing, one up close healing, one stabilizing, and I'd like to see one resurrection thing. God, I can't fucking speak.
You're grand. Revivification
Yeah.
is one of the most difficult words to say when you have not prepped yourself to say it.
So I would like to see just one spell that can revive people baked in. That's all I need, and I think that's perfect. That's my one criticism of that True Life thing. Otherwise, I like the fact that it gives a different scenario than if you're just playing a Warforge. Do you want to talk about GIF?
Yes, I really do, because they're awesome. GIF are basically giant hippo people, and they are actually sized. Oh no, sorry, they're still sized medium, but they're called out being huge. So GIF are tall, broad-shouldered folk with hippo-like features. Some have smooth skin, while others have short bristles on their faces and the tops of their heads. As beings of impressive size and unforgettable appearance, GIF are noticed wherever they go. So really hard to be a GIF rogue. Storytelling is a rich tradition among GIF, and it's not uncommon to see a GIF recounting their past exploits to an enraptured crowd. Having a friendly GIF nearby when a tavern brawler erupts can also be useful, for a GIF can usually more than hold their own when pleasant rivalry devolves into fisticuffs. The GIF are, and this is the bit I mentioned earlier, where I'm arguing whether it's GIF or GIF.
Yeah. Funny inclusion. So these guys first appeared in Mordenkainen's, which I thought they were a weird inclusion, but I've actually been using their stat block for human imperial soldiers. I've just been like tweaking it a little bit. Yeah.
Interesting.
Because I mean, all I've been saying is just that they don't. I think they have a couple of powerful build things or something like that, and I just ignore them for the purposes of humans. But yeah, and I've been using them as stat block because it works, because they are musket wielding soldiers. So it works perfectly. But yeah, I think GIF are really cool. I think they're a little bit silly, like more so.
Yeah,
I think it goes
intended to be as well. Like I think it's clear they're intended to be silly as well, though, because like Loxodon are kind of your badass giants.
It goes Leonin, Loxodon, GIF in terms of descending more and more into the silliness.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
But I think these are really cool, and I don't know if I would see myself. I think they're just a little too silly for my homebrew world, personally. But I do think they're cool. I really like them for their abilities. They have an ability here called Damage Dealer. It specifically says, like a hippopotamus in a crystalware shop, you are naturally adept in damaging things. When you roll a 1 on a damage dice for a melee attack, you can re-roll the dice and use a new roll. You can do that once per turn. That's great. If you're playing like that's actually basically the Great Weapon Master. Oh my god.
That actually is Great Weapon Master, except you don't when you crit, you don't get to make a bonus action attack.
If you took Great Weapon Master,
because Great Weapon Master is you crit or kill, you get a bonus action attack, and then the -5 plus 10.
And is Great Weapon Master, you have to re-roll? Is it a 1?
That's Great Weapon Fighting. Great Weapon Fighting is re-roll 1s and 2s on two-handed damage die.
I'm just wondering, like, if you did that and took like a greatsword with 2d6s, could you potentially re-roll both your dice?
Ooh, yeah, because I used to do that with. I had Great Weapon Fighting, and that's what I would do with Eru, because I had a greatsword, and if I rolled 1s and 2s on my weapon damage die, I could re-roll both of them.
You're right, actually, because that just says re-roll
weapon damage die.
That doesn't limit you to 1 dice, whereas this one does on a damage die single.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'd have to check Great Weapon Master.
That's Great Weapon Fighting. Great Weapon Master is the -5 plus 10.
Yeah. Sorry, you're right. Yeah.
But just to quickly go through the gift traits while you're looking it up. Creature type, you are still a humanoid, and you are still medium, even though you're described as being very large and muscular and like that. And like I know you're saying they're kind of silly, but like I think if you take them less like kind of like chubby, clumsy hippo, and more like hippos kill more people every year than any other animal. Yeah, hippos are terrifying. If you take them more than that way, and like instead of making them look like the rhino guards from the like animated Robin Hood, make them like instead of that, make them
That's a deep cut.
Make them like your brick shithouse enforcers for gangs and stuff. Like that would be cool. But yeah, damage dealer, as Conor mentioned, really great. You can re-roll a 1 on damage die, and yeah, I reroll a 1 on a damage die, so 1 single. Your walking speed is still 30, and what's really cool is actually you have a swimming speed equal to your walking speed.
You do, yeah.
30 feet. Because hippos are amphibious. No, They're not amphibious. They're more all-terrain, because amphibious would imply they can breathe underwater. I'm pretty sure hippos can't.
Does amphibious imply that?
Yeah, amphibious means you can operate fully in land or water.
But do frogs breathe water? Do frogs have gills? Frogs don't have gills.
This is a very good question for after the podcast.
Okay, you keep going on, check this.
Yeah, okay. And then hippo builds, you have advantage on strength-based ability checks and saving throws, just as raw. In addition, you count as one size larger when determining your carrying capacity and what you can push, drag, or lift. So very similar, actually, to Goliaths. In terms of like some of the stuff they've got.
Hippos are not cold-blooded. That's a distinction.
Ah, okay.
They can swim in both land. They can move in both land and water. Amphibians cannot breathe water, but they are typically cold-blooded vertebrate animals. Otherwise, if they have gills, they are then not considered amphibians.
Okay. The interesting, good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on from the gift, then we have one of. Okay, I'm not going to say the weirdest one, because the last two are by far the weirdest. But like this one, it's the Hadozi, which you talked about earlier, which are monkey people. And specifically, they are like flying monkey people.
Like Wizard of Oz style.
Kind of, yeah. I always think more like that bit in Spider-Man Homecoming when he goes over the helicopter.
So they have like wingsuits.
Yeah, they're like monkey and flying, and they're like, oh, isn't there like a lemur that does that, like glides between treetops by?
Oh yeah.
Something like they're basically
like a flying squirrel.
But the way they're described is, they're like a monkey and a flying squirrel, basically. They're saying Hadozis are people with simian features that long ago adapted to live in the tall trees of their homeworld. They are natural climbers with feet as dexterous as their hands, even to the extent of having opposable thumbs. Membranes of skin hang loosely from their arms and legs, and when stretched taut, these membranes enable a Hadozi to glide. The first Hadozis were hunted by large natural predators. To survive in this hostile environment, they developed an instinctual sense of community. Today, that same instinct compels many Hadozis to cultivate friendships, knowing there is safety in numbers. So I like them is that, like, if someone picks a Hadozi, like session 1, they're the person who's going to get the party together. Like if you need a reason for your party to stick together, the Hadozi will naturally want to keep everybody together because they know their safety numbers. I like that a lot. I think that's dope. Now, in terms of their traits, really cool. You're still a humanoid. Pretty much all of these are humanoid, aside from like 2 or 3. I think.
Plasmoid, which is next, doesn't have that. But
so you're.
Well, that is a Tycrane, actually.
Yeah, that's those are the 2 I was thinking of. You're humanoid. Your size. This is another cool one. You get to choose medium or small, which is pretty cool. Speed, you have a speed of 30 feet and you have a climbing speed equal to your walking speed. I like these because a lot of these now with their movement, they're getting not just a walking speed, they're getting like a climbing speed or a flying speed or a swim speed. This is probably the coolest thing other than the gliding. I really like. I just really like this. Dexterous feet. You take the use an object action as a bonus action.
That basically breaks rogue thieves.
Yeah.
Like that. That's their big thing. Is that they can do that. And then now you can, or now you can just do it as this. I'm like, I always feel bad when a certain subclass I think doesn't get picked because it's not. Maybe it's not good enough or it's overshadowed by something else.
Yeah.
If you want to play Hadozi though, you absolutely you get one of the key features of playing a thief rogue, which is unfortunate, but it's a cool ability all the same.
I love the idea of playing an assassin Hadozi and reenacting the Murders in the Rue Morgue, that book by Edgar Allan Poe, where a chimpanzee gets startled off a ship and ends up murdering a bunch of people because he saw its owner shaving and tried to shave other people and accidentally slit their throats.
Moving on.
Sorry, it's a big mystery that I've just spoiled now. But there's an Iron Maiden song.
I do not have the brain capacity to process that right now.
Look it up on Wikipedia after it. You'll enjoy the laugh. But yeah, the Hadozi, they're really cool. They're like community loving, very dexterous, and yeah, they get that thing. The biggest thing, which is it's definitely the biggest thing, is the glide. If you're not incapacitated or wearing heavy armor, you can extend your skin membranes and glide. When you do so, you can perform the following aerial maneuvers. When you fall, you can move up to 5 feet horizontally for every 1 foot you descend. So if you descend 12 feet, you're horizontally going out 60, which is pretty sick.
Well, that means that for every 1 foot you descend, for every 5 foot you fall, you are going 25 feet in distance.
Yeah.
So if you fall 60 feet,
That's
you're
why
going.
that's why I did 12 and 5 because that math is easy.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, that's
Yeah.
insane. Like, yeah, that's crazy how far you can go.
It's really, really good, and like it's you can as well, so you can choose to, if you want to just drop straight, you can, because you can. It doesn't like you do, and then as well, when you would take, this one is the most powerful thing, I think. When you would take damage from a fall, you can use a reaction to reduce the fall's damage to 0. You have the monk's feather falling.
Yeah, I mean that is limited to a certain thing, but this just says you can just flat out drop it, which makes perfect sense though, because I actually think it works perfectly, because it's not giving you a fly speed where you can actively not hit the ground or reduce your impact to the ground to nothing, where you can upwardly propel yourself, but it's saying you can slow your descent to the ground. It is still a reaction, but I feel like in most cases you're going to have a reaction to do that, as long as you get. It's basically saying as long as you have a half second to spread your wings, you will break your fall, which is awesome.
Yeah, I really like it. Like, this is where I'd say I think Hadozi would be a little too silly for my homebrew world. Currently, you think it's yeah, like flying squirrel monkeys would just be a little beyond the pale for the tone I have set in my current world. There are still like goofy stuff, but I couldn't with I literally couldn't with a flying monkey in my world. Like,
I think they're grand for the Spelljammer setting. Again, this is also a bit too silly for me. I wouldn't actually mind a regular monkey person, like a simian race. I think that would be fit well with my world. But I don't think that. I think this is just. I know it's not, but I can't not picture the Wizard of Oz when I see this.
Totally.
Like, fly, my pretties, fly.
Man, like, but like, look at the character you've got. Like, the Otter Gnome is the Tin Man. The Otter Gnome is the Tin Man. You've got the Hadozi for the flying monkeys. Throw a few Leonin in for Cowardly Lion. Like,
yeah,
it's pretty sick. It's pretty interesting. But. So it's probably moving on from the Hadozi now. Conor, do you want to talk to us about the plasmoids?
Okay, cards on the table. This is the one I've looked at the least.
Okay, so I can talk about the plasmoid if you want.
Sure. I'll do Thri-Kreen.
You can do Thri-Kreen, yeah. Yeah. So plasmoids, basically slime people.
Yeah.
And what's really cool is your creature type. You are an ooze, rather than being a humanoid or a construct or whatever. You are actually an ooze. To get to the specific info that they give you, plasmoids are amorphous beings with no typical shape. In the presence of other folk, they often adopt a similar form, but there's still little chance of mistaking a plasmoid for anything else. They consume food by osmosis the way an amoeba does, or a gelatinous cube, and excrete waste through tiny pores. They breathe by absorbing oxygen through another set of pores, and their limbs are strong and flexible enough to grasp and manipulate weapons and tools. Although most plasmoids are translucent grey, they can alter their colour and translucence by absorbing dyes through their pores. That's so cool. You can be an ooze with tattoos. Oh, you can be a tattoos! Ah!
Oh, God.
Yeah. But plasmoids don't have internal organs of the usual sort. Their bodies are instead composed of cells, fibres, plasma like ooze, and clusters of nerves called ganglia. These nerves enable a plasmoid to detect light, heat, texture, sound, pain, and vibrations. Plasmoids can stiffen the outer layers of their bodies to maintain a human-like shape, so they can wear clothing and accessories. They can speak by forcing air out of tubular cavities that constrict to reduce sound. When plasmoids sleep, they lose their rigidity and spread out, and are sometimes mistaken for a rock or some other feature of the environment. I like that a lot. I think that's cool.
Is it weird that I could see these being in my world? Not as a regular thing, but I mean, like, if someone really wanted to be one.
One of them. Yeah.
I'd be like, look, you're what happened when an alchemist accidentally broke one beaker and it spilled into another one, and then you just came to life, and you're a one-off creature.
You crawled out of an asteroid that came through the astral sea.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
yeah. That would be my rationale for it, and like that's why there's only one of you, and only ever will be.
I think they're pretty cool. I'm just looking at them here. So they have a regular enough speed. They're amorphous, so you can squeeze through a space as narrow as 1 inch, provided you aren't wearing or carrying nothing.
They've got the same thing that elementals can do, which is very, very cool.
Yeah. And that fairies were able to do in the last UA, but are not anymore. You also have advantage on ability checks you make to initiate or escape a grapple, which I think makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
I picture Venom Particularly in the third Sam Raimi movie when he has all the tendrils and he's grabbing onto Peter and Peter's trying to rip him off, but he's got so many little bits grabbing onto him and stuff.
Yeah.
You have dark vision, which is cool. Hold breath for an hour. Natural resilience. You have resistance to acid and poison, which is not a pairing you often see.
Yeah.
And you have advantage on saving throws against being poisoned.
Very good.
Yeah. This last one I was just reading through there. So, shape self. If you are not incapacitated, you can reshape your body to give yourself a head, 1 or 2 arms, 1 or 2 legs, and makeshift hands and feet. Or you can revert to a limbless blob with no action required. As a bonus action, you can extrude a pseudopod that is up to 6 inches wide and 10 feet long to reabsorb it into your or reabsorb it into your body. You can use this pseudopod to manipulate objects, open a door and container, store, retrieve an item from a container, or pour out the contents of a container. The pseudopod can't attack or activate magic items or carry more than 10 pounds with that pseudopod. That's still pretty cool though. I think there could be some really interesting circumstances you could use that.
So wait, sorry, you can use pseudopod to manipulate an object, open an unlocked door or container, store or retrieve an item from an open container, or pour out the contents of a container. So like in my head, because you're literally a puddle man. Like in my head, you're like a plasmoid thief, and you're like picking a lock, and you pick the lock. But as you finish picking the lock, you hear someone coming around the corner, and you're like, crap. Oh, someone spilled water over there. Run over, like down into the puddle, and then someone passes by, and then you just like up out of the puddle, walk over, like, or even just get your pseudopod out, open the door.
Could you be the? It's not the T. Is it the T-1000?
The like the liquid metal Terminator from T2.
Yeah, what's he called?
He's
T-1000. Yeah,
he's T-1000 because I think Arnie is T-100, isn't he?
Yes, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, you could be the liquid metal Terminator from T2, which is one of the greatest action films of all time. No argument will be had.
Yeah, absolutely. But you could totally be that. You could be him. That'd be kind of interesting. How would you do that?
Oh, dude,
be like
such a good idea.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like, here's the thing. Okay. Yeah, no, they've limited you enough in the shapes you can take, which it makes sense.
Like you can't just put your hand on a lock and take the shape of the exact interior of the tumblers as a key. And like that. Although that may be how narratively I would describe a plasmoid thief unlocking things. Like he forms, like his thieves' tools, he like forms them from his own body.
Or like he like puts them into his body, so they're constantly stored in him, and then when he needs to, he kind of Inspector Gadget just makes them pop out of his fingers.
I love the idea of like someone chatting with the plasmoid thief, and they're just chatting away, and then like a lockpick floats up into the center of their forehead, and someone's like, "Yeah, and so I just told them that I was going to take this over," and they're like, "Is it the lockpick again?"
he's like, you can just ignore that.
Do you know, if you want, just reach on in and just poke it, it'll float back down.
Just bob it, it'll go right back down.
Oh god, that would be so weird. Yeah,
I think that could be very. Again, I would only really allow. They certainly would not be a race in my worlds. They would not be a regular thing. I would, if a person really wanted to play one, I'd be like, okay, look, we'll pretend that you are an ooze that somehow gained sentience. You were eating dirt or eating bones inside of a cavern somewhere, something happened. You became sentient. We can make it work. Yeah. I'm just thinking, like, how would you do the How would you do the T-1000 thing? Would you? Could you do like an arcane trickster so that you can not only reshape your body but then put disguise self over you, and then I don't know. I'm trying to think. Because it can't make you look like you'll always look like a blob, even if like you never have enough.
You'd need alter self or disguise self rather. Sorry,
you would need disguise self in some shape or form.
Oh, had a disguise. Boom, you're done.
That's all you need actually, and then just play an assassin, assassin rogue. Up next, and finally, we have the Thri-kreen. So I've always liked Thri-kreen. I think they overlooked an awful lot in D&D because they're kind of towards the back of the book and stuff like that. But Thri-kreen have insectoid features and 2 pairs of arms. Their bodies are encased in protective chitin. They can alter their coloration of their carapace to blend in with their natural surroundings. Very, very cool. So cool. Although the Thri-kreen don't sleep, they do require periods of inactivity to revitalize themselves. During these periods, they are fully conscious and aware of what's happening around them. Triqueens speak in clacking with their mandibles and waving their antenna, indicating to other Triqueen what they are thinking and feeling. Other creatures find this method of communication difficult to interpret and impossible to duplicate. To interact with other folk, Triqueen and rely on a form of telepathy. Telepathy.
That's cute.
I think these are great. I'm okay. So the way they work, I already had these guys in my world. I knew they weren't a race, and I would never let anyone play them until we have stats now. But I had them in my world because I think when I first started doing this world, I literally went through the monster manual and I went like, okay, what are all the various humanoid races or races I think need to be kind of semi-humanoid, like centaurs, for example. I know where centaur tribes are in my world, because even though they're technically monstrosities, I would treat them as like a race of people. So I did the same with Triqueen. I thought they were too cool to not have an insect race somewhere in the world. So they are nestled between my tabaxi and lizard folk in the rainforest on the opposite continent where you guys are currently. So you are a monstrosity for creature type. Your size is medium or small. They're doing that a lot recently. You can pick 2 different sizes. Yeah, it's interesting. I wonder if they're trying to make it accessible that you can play. Oh, it's probably an accessibility thing, is it? Maybe.
What do you mean?
In terms of like representation and stuff in the game, I wonder is it like that they
maybe,
like maybe I could be wrong. It might just be that they want to give you the option to play children or something as well if you want, but maybe I wouldn't think so on that. I would imagine it's an accessibility or a representation thing.
Maybe it's to cover like the huge variety in insects, because if you think like some insects, right? Someone might want to play a Hercules beetle, which is literally like the biggest. The Hercules beetle is like the biggest beetle in the world, right? So that's a big ass thing. Someone else might want to play a ladybird.
No, absolutely. But like, we had something else there a while ago that was also like the plasmoid is also medium or small, and the Hidozi is also medium or small. I think rabbit folk can be medium or small. Not the rabbit folk rather, but the Herongon.
Yeah, they could be actually.
And I'm just wondering, that seems to be a bit of a trend.
Maybe it is like a representation thing for small.
I'm guessing,
people.
by the way. I'm purely guessing.
Like it could be. Do you know what? Fair enough, because those people
absolutely.
deserve to be represented as heroes too.
Absolutely.
I'm just looking quickly. Yeah, medium or small Hidozi. Medium or small.
Yeah. The GIF not, but they're specifically designed as being very large, so maybe not in that case.
Like I kind of know why, because when you go up a size, your weapons get an additional weapon damage die. But like
the whole thing there, yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's why you're not classed as large as a GIF. But like, I was fully expecting GIFs to be large, to be honest. And maybe because I just watched that really, really good Zbashu video about large adventurers.
Same,
But like, I was full like, because like they're hippos. I was expecting them.
What's to do with centaurs? I'm just gonna check.
Centaurs, I think, are also medium, but I think minotaurs are large.
Who do we have here? I'm just checking them now because I'm curious. I'm pretty sure they're not, but I'm pretty sure like how do they? I don't know how they explain it. So if we look at minotaurs, I don't think they are though. Minotaurs. I think your size is still
medium.
Your average over 6 feet in height, but your stocky build, your size medium.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
But it's kind of weird. There's a bit of a misalignment there, because of how they work in the monster stat block in the game.
It's a large monster.
Centaurs stand between 6 and 7 feet tall, and bodies reaching 4 feet in width, but they are still medium.
Sorry, if you're 4 foot wide, you're not a medium.
No. I'm sorry. I think I misread that. I don't think it was 4 foot in width. I think it said they are
girth.
No, sorry, I misread that entirely. With equine bodies that reach about 4 feet to their withers is what I read that.
Okay.
As width. My apologies. But yeah, so I mean, I think just in sticking with the rules, because he actually is what's his name? Zbashu? Is that it?
Yeah, Zbashu. Yeah.
Yeah, and look up his video if you're.
It's very good.
There's a great video on size recently about why you can't also Goliaths. So why Goliaths are 8 feet tall or 9 feet tall, but they're not large creatures. There is mechanical reasons why you can't be. Some creatures like Goliaths get that thing where it's like powerful builds, where for the purposes of determining your carrying capacity, you get that additional thing. I would have liked to see that. Do the GIF get that as well?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, that's the second part of their powerful build thing.
Ah, perfect. Okay, yeah. Yes, exactly. So they get it. I'm pretty sure Loxodons get it as
Yeah,
well.
I think all of like I'd imagine that's probably a compensation or like an acknowledgement of these should be a size larger, but to make things easier for you as an adventurer, we're going to make you smaller. But for everything where you would push, pull, lift,
yeah,
we're going to treat you as you should be.
And that makes perfect sense, because if you should be able, like if you're the Hound in Game of Thrones,
yeah,
you should be able to carry that big crate on your back with a dead body inside of it. It's solid wood and everything, and no one else, like Jon Snow, is not lifting that.
Yeah,
but you're the Hound. You're like 6'8" or something. You can lift that. Like.
Yeah. You're the only one who can fist fight the mountain, and he's called the Mountain.
So the Triquine has some really, really cool abilities. Base walking speed, medium or small size. First up, Chameleon Carapace. While you aren't wearing armor, your Carapace gives you a base armor of 13 plus your dex. We said that already with the Gnomes, the auto Gnomes. That's a super, super cool ability. As an action, you can change the color of your Carapace to match the color and texture of your surroundings. So that's not even just like, I make myself green because we're in a forest. That's like, I make my texture look like leaf patterned or something. Like,
it's,
like that.
If you've ever seen
octopuses.
Not even the octopus, but like these guys would look exactly, if they're in a forest, they would look exactly like, there's a thing called a leaf mantis. And they're praying mantis that look mantids actually is the plural, but they look exactly like leaves until you like poke your finger around near them, and then they're like like with the big fucking leg blades. But yeah, I love this. I
just immediately go to those camouflaging octopuses that can change their color and texture of their skin, and they basically shapeshift like they're insane.
Predators also in pop culture.
Yes. Yes, that's right. So you can change your surroundings to give yourself advantage on dexterity stealth checks made to hide within those surroundings. I mean, all you need to do is state that as soon as I walk into this room or this environment, I adapt myself to it in terms of my carapace color. That's super, super cool. You have dark vision, standard enough. Secondary arms. This is really cool. So you have two slightly smaller secondary arms below your primary pair of arms. The secondary arms function like your primary arms with the following exceptions. You can use a secondary arm to wield a weapon that has a light property. But you can't use the secondary arm to wield other kinds of weapons. You also can't wield a shield with that. But I was thinking about this earlier. I mean, like, so normally
do you get 4 attacks?
I don't think so, because
I'd imagine it's like dual wielding, but just doubled up. Where like you're holding 4 weapons, but you only have as many attacks around as your character.
You have actions and stuff. Yeah. So I still think, but what you can do is you can dual wield 2 like short swords, which are light weapons, and still have a shield in one of your primary hands. So you're benefiting from wielding a shield and from also dual wielding at the same time. And if you take like a feat and get 2 fighting styles that support both of those things, that's really, really cool.
Dual wield with the smaller arms, dual wield 2 short swords with the big arms, great axe.
I think that this is really, really cool, and also like I think it opens up a whole realm of stuff you can do.
It's gonna be
in terms of like,
where are my spider people, Conor? Bring me my spider people.
Actually, now I think about it, like, you have 2. They function exactly as your primary arms, except for those 2 things. Meaning, you can hold. You could be a gunslinger or triquine. And they could be reloading. You could have 2 guns in the hand, and you just go down, and your 2 little hands come up and reload them for you.
Have you ever seen the Boondock Saints?
No.
There's a bit in the Boondock Saints where their dad shows up, and he's Billy Connolly, right? And there's a bit where they just show him show up, and the 2 sons are there, and then they cut to the cops coming to the scene later. Everything is blowing all to hell and stuff, and Willem Dafoe just like puts in headphones and like basically like psychics his way. He's not psychic, but basically like psychics his way around it, making like crime scene investigation look like magic, and just goes, "There was a firefight," and then they show you, and Billy Connolly has 6 guns that are tucked into holsters like here along his breastbone, and he literally does that. He goes like bang 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 bang, but you could do 6 guns at once. 6 guns at once.
That actually reminds me. Actually, okay, interesting. How would... It probably wouldn't be very relevant. I'm just thinking, like, in terms of weapons, like light crossbows or something like that, where you...
Yeah, heavy, like, you could do, like, hand crossbows or light crossbows in your hands, and then hand crossbows in the smaller ones.
You could do like heavy crossbow in your 2 upper hands, and then 2 light crossbows down below. And if you take the feat, you can use one. You can take an additional attack as a bonus action after you fire with a crossbow. So you could go big crossbow, fire with a little crossbow underneath. Yeah, there's some really interesting combinations here.
You could turn yourself into a gun turret, basically.
Yeah, it's like
an invisible gun turret.
I think there's some really, really cool stuff here, and I'm actually really. I'd love to see, like, I don't know. I think there's so many cool combinations with this, and they'd be such an interesting. Okay, so if presumably these guys are going to appear now in the Spelljammer thing, right?
Yes.
I would like to see a bigger write-up on them, because we get a little bit of information, and we have some in the Monster Manual. Give me a bigger write-up, because I'm interested to see what they would be like, because you know the way that we talked about it during the week. Lizard folk have that alien mind thing, that reptilian brain, where they don't speak like us. They apply actions to the object as opposed to a state of being. So it's like, it's not that I am cold, it's that there is a cold
is upon me, or like
the wind brings a cold or something like that. It's about the action of the wind bringing that rather than result of you feeling it.
Like we're saying, it's the same way Irish works. In Irish you don't say I'm tired. The Irish for I'm tired is tá tír an down, which means that the tiredness of the world is upon me. Like,
and you don't say like you say if you're saying I am sad, it's like it's the same thing. It's like Tá Brónarm, but Tá Brónarm is not I am sad. It's sadness. There is a sadness on me.
Yeah.
It's a similar. It's interesting. It's super cool.
I actually really want to play Lizard Folk now, and just entirely like I'll just raw translate all the Irish words for like emotions to English.
Yeah.
And that's how Lizard Folk speak. Like, the tiredness of the world is upon me. The sadness of the world is upon me. Sorry.
I think that'd be really great. Also, you have a Lizard Folk artificer in your that we made on this podcast. That you
yeah. Oh God, that would be fun. Yes. Ideas for later.
So I think it's really cool. I think there's a lot of opportunities there. I'd like to see a thing in the book where they give me a little paragraph of like, hey, they have insect brains, so this is the way that they think or how they view things, because I think that's really cool for like roleplay stuff. Sleep revitalization. You do not require sleep and can choose to remain conscious during a long rest, though you must still refrain from strenuous activity to gain its benefits. So you can just sit upright against a tree and just keep an eye on the camp and like keep watch for the whole night, and everyone else can get to sleep.
It's literally that really old Chuck Norris joke, like Chuck Norris doesn't sleep, he waits. And then finally, Tricarine telepathy. You have a magical ability to communicate mentally with any number of willing creatures you can see within 120 feet, which is really, really cool. That's crazy.
A contact, because it's any number, so you can pick certain people, or you can just be like, there's 5 people in my party, I will talk to all of them at once. A contacted creature doesn't need to share a language with you, but must be able to speak at least one language. That's fairly standard. Your telepathic link with the creature is broken if you and the creature move more than 120 feet apart, if either of you is incapacitated, or if either of you mentally breaks the contact, no action required. So you can actually shut the person out as well. They could be talking to you, and you could just be like, no, go away. And you can't then continue to speak with them.
Yeah, I really like that. That's super powerful. Like, you would be such a good, like, I'm thinking like rogue mastermind, or like kind of like a general type figure, where like you're sending people out into a crowd, and you stand at the back of the crowd, and you're like, okay, you over there 100 feet away from me, there's 3 guards.
Service.
Yeah, literally, like, there's 3 guards approaching you from the west, and then like I'm gonna message someone on the eastern side to start kicking up a fuss so that they get diverted from you. Like, you could do really cool stuff like that, because it's 120 feet. Anyone who's willing, so crazy.
Yeah.
Any number of them as well. So like, you could, if a crowd wanted to, you could talk to an entire crowd at once.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, I'm really pumped for the Tricarine. Them and the Autonomes are 2 of my favorites in this thing now. I think there's some good stuff. I do think some of these are a little bit weird, but I think that that's kind of the point of Spelljammer. Yeah. Spelljammer is a little bit wacky. It's a little bit zany. It's not trying to be science fiction. It's like they have ships with sails that sail through space, and they can breathe, because why the fuck not? It makes no sense, but that's okay.
There's no wind in space.
There's no wind in space. But yeah, it's meant to be strange. It's meant to be very out there. But again, that's very much the point of it all.
Yeah. And I think 5e could do with that after this long. I think weird and like kind of comical and not super duper serious. I think I think we've more space for that in 5e.
I think there'll be some cool stuff. Hopefully they'll include like some monster stat blocks for weird stuff you'll find in the Astral Sea and stuff like that. But I think that like this book will definitely bring some like you said, some much needed weirdness.
Yeah.
I think that anyone who runs like a very comedic or improv-y or does any sort of funny podcasts and stuff, if they want to play a weird funny campaign, this will be like bread and butter for them, you know?
Or like if you've ever wanted to play Guardians of the Galaxy in D&D.
Yeah, absolutely. But Martin,
yes, Connor,
that's all the time we have for today.
Oh man, that was a good one. I'm actually like, this was something that came out, we had just, to be totally clear, we had a different thing planned for this week's episode, and then this came out, and then we were just all talking about it in our group chat, and I was like, this is going to be the episode. This is going to be the episode. Because you gave me a predator, a hippo man, and a robot gnome. Let's go.
Yeah, and a pile of goo, and a space elf.
Yeah. And those are really awesome too. It's just that I've far too much love for the other three right now.
I know, yeah.
They're so cool.
No, these are seriously cool. I'm pumped to see. I think the Spelljammer book will be really, really cool. Very, very unique, definitely compared to what we've gotten before.
I think it'll very quickly become a community favorite as well, and I'd say it's probably going to be up there with your likes of your Tashas and your Xanthars, as like opens up like a whole new dimension.
Literally.
That wasn't intentional, but I'll take the credit.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But, Connor, where can people find you on the internet?
People can find me on the internet on Twitter at 0.Conor, ZeroPointConor, 1N, very important.
Very important.
And you can also find me here every Friday at 6 p.m. Irish time on the Micflayers podcast on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor Breaker, and Radio Republic.
Nicely done. If you're looking for me on the internet, you can find me also on Twitter at So Sorry It's Over, which is boom right down there. You can find me here on the Micflayers podcast mostly. And our YouTube and social links are all in the right hand corner as well. And you can also find me on Twitter at the Micflayers podcast Twitter account. You'll find me there quite a lot. Usually late at night when I'm up, I'm trying to go to sleep, and a D&D idea has hit me. But you can find all of us there at Micflayers pod on Twitter. And that's about it for me online, really. I haven't been doing a whole bunch of Twitch streaming lately, but if you want to check out some of my VODs, you can see that on twitch.tv/Mert, and I believe that's also linked in the description.
I believe it is.
Awesome. So if you have any comments, questions, video requests, or just want or any memes to share, please hit us up on either Twitter or down in the comment section below. We always read any message or comment that we get, and we'll try to respond to all of them that we do get, if we do get any. So yeah, if you have anything you'd like to have a chat with us about, or just make a joke, by all means reach out and we'll get back to you. So with that said, we'll say it's a goodbye from me, and a goodbye from Conor.
Later, folks.
And we will see you this time next week for a brand new episode of the Micflayers podcast. Bye bye.